David, look at the time. I believe it's the Chainsaw Minute.
I'm David, and this is your fortnightly dose of Chainsaw Man. You can join us every other Friday where we see what masterpiece Fujimoto put out.
And if you'd like to get another skin in our Fortnite podcast, you can enter in...
God damn. You know, they probably are going to add Chainsaw Man characters to Fortnite.
I might actually start playing Fortnite. Anyway, I'm Jordan.
You're going to see Makima flossing.
Dude, that would be amazing. But anyway, I'm Jordan, and if you're looking for regular Shonen Flop goodness, you can find our next episode, Doran Dororon, featuring Megan from the Volume 1 podcast on Monday.
Woohoo! She was great.
She was.
And just a heads up, these recordings are open to everyone, so you can be listening in and chatting along with us on the Shonen Flop Discord every other Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You can find a link to it in our show notes or on our site. And I want to give a shout out to all of our wonderful people that are listening to us right now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, my friends. Hello, my friend. Meet again.
But Jordan, with every friend, there's a foe. So what was your devil this week?
My devil this week, David, is the infection devil.
Oh, God.
Got a skin infection, and I have to take medication for it. The medication completely knocks me out.
It's not topical?
Nah, the topical stuff didn't work.
Too much talking about airline food and weather.
Yeah.
Am I right? Imagine your infection was small Jerry Seinfeld's, and when you apply the medication, just place the what is it, the bass line from Seinfeld?
Boom. That one.
Yeah, I love how you perfectly did the legally distinct Seinfeld baseline that every Seinfeld parody does.
Yes. I'm not that good at copying a slap bass with my mouth, okay?
Just imagining how it's like you just hear so many Seinfeld parodies, you forget what the actual baseline sounds like. It's like Tim Schafer. So Tim Schafer of Double Fine fame had an interview with, I think, LucasArts, and he mentioned a video game that they made, but he called it by the bootleg version's name, so they knew he had pirated his copy of that video game.
What game was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I can look it up.
Oh, man. I love that. I love how there are, some companies will put out bootlegged versions of their games onto torrent sites that will deliberately just be unbeatable in, the final level. The entire game is normal, and then just suddenly out of nowhere, you can't beat this game. Fuck you.
I know Earthbound did that, actually, where it's super hard, and then the game crashes at the final boss, and it deletes your save.
That might be the one I was thinking of, but there are definitely other instances of that.
So Schaefer said that he was a really big fan of the game Ball Blaster, which he was informed is the pirated name of the game Ball Blazer. But apparently I think he still got the job.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, they said to make up for the phone interview, Schaefer sent in a comic of himself applying and getting the job at Lucasfilm Games drawn as a text adventure.
Genius.
Fucking 400 IQ.
That's the shit you gotta do. Spin it, reverse it, Flip it and reverse it.
I actually used to write a short story as my cover letter when I used to have to write cover letters.
Really?
Yeah, it was called The Curious Case of the Cover Letter, and it was literally a meta-narrative of someone reading my cover letter, and then they would, actual parts of my cover letter, the relevant parts, would be quotes of them reading the cover letter to themselves.
David, you just blew my mind. I didn't know that you could make cover letters not the most unbelievably horrible thing to read in existence.
Oh, yeah. So it'd be his chair creaked back as he read about David's 3 years of volunteer experience that really inspired him. It actually got me some interviews, too, where they were like, yeah, cover letter was really interesting. And I was like, oh, there you go.
I did that sort of recently where I was trying to get into this podcast editing project. So I was just like, by the way, here's a painting. And I just put in one of my paintings in the email. And the person emailed me well, I wasn't sure I was going to respond, but thank you for the painting. So I didn't get it, but I got the connection. And David, that's the first part.
Oh, and Jordan, we also should be talking about Chainsaw Man. So,
oh yeah,
fuck, fuck, dude, we're doing a podcast.
What's Chainsaw Man? Anyway,
actually related to mine is the scheduling devil, where I had just the time of my life fucking organizing all this shit. Rachel's like, you need to stop planning stuff, so I'm not allowed to plan out things till my Halloween party in October. So we'll see how well I keep to that.
Good for you. I hope that you're able to keep to that. You're damaging yourself, David, with all this scheduling. You got to take it easy, man.
I had a picnic and one of my friends just didn't like show up, and I was just so busy I didn't even like ask them like, hey, where are you? And they were like, oh, I'm sorry, scheduling, or it's like, it can be so hard to make plans. I'm like, it is when you don't fucking show up. Crazy. I was there on time. So were 14 other people. It's crazy.
Maybe this is why you need to chill on the scheduling. You get pretty mad when people fuck up schedules.
Yeah, I do, don't I?
And it adds like a bunch of stress.
It does. All right, but anyway, plot summary. Give it to me, Jordan.
Yes. Aza is trying to sleep while Yoru, enraged, punches her pillow, embarrassed that they were saved by Chainsaw Man. Apparently, Chainsaw Man defeated them a long time ago and has apparently just prevented, at the very least, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and the Gulf War just by existing. Aza, however, falls asleep thanking him for saving them. The next day, Yoshida discovers Denji being sat on by a girl for 10 yen. Usually you have to pay for that.
I was just about to make that joke.
Yoshida hands him back his ID card, which Denji deliberately left behind so that people could discover he's Chainsaw Man. And Yoshida just can't allow that, so Popcorn David.
Denji tries leaving, but Yoshida pays him 1,000 yen. I didn't see. I thought it was he just offered to pay him, and then he was like, you could be charging people 100 yen for this.
I looked at the bill he was handing him.
Denji could have given him Denji would not have given him change. Pays him 1,000 yen.
Denji's just like, 1 second, hold on, let me pull out 900 yen. Here you go. Let me pull out 990 yen. Here you go.
There was a post where like this guy was like, my daughter made like $100 on her lemonade stand because when people paid her like $20 for change, she would just say thank you and keep it. So let me take that from the top. Denji tries leaving, but Yoshida pays him 1,000 yen to be his chair too. Denji wants people to know he's Chainsaw Man to get chicks, so Yoshida offers to set him up with a girl who's desperate for a boyfriend. That girl is Asa. They start arguing about Chainsaw Man, with Asa insulting him so much, Denji just drops the act and tells her he is, in fact, Chainsaw Man. Asa responds by calling him a loser and leaving.
In one of the new great reaction images, I must say.
Yes. I mean, I posted quite a few screenshots. I think you're going to get a lot of mileage out of that Denji saying, you know what, I'm just going to say it.
That's very true. Oh, man, I also like how, and you pointed this out, too, in your notes, David, but in the last chapter, Denji just devours a cake in a really gross way, but there's, like, one slice taken out by Yoshida. And the first thing we see, next chapter, which, if you read in order, is immediately after we see that, I would like to say.
Yeah.
Is Asa and Yoru wearing a shirt with one slice of cake on it that just says cake. So it's like, now what does that mean? What's the symbolism there? Colonel, you're too dummy thick to deliver symbolism.
Also, I want to just say now, I don't think Makima is that thick. I think it's an exaggeration and people have never seen a truly thick character before. Go read Red Hood.
No, she's thick for the average anime character, which is not very thick.
If you just look at a picture of Debonair, that's what a thick woman looks like.
That's what it's thick.
Shout out to Mother's Basement for understanding that in his video where he gave us a shout out. So don't worry, man, we're helping you out too.
He did. I was worried for a sec he wasn't going to say it, but he's got to. He's absolutely going to say it. Anyway, yeah. I think it's really interesting how the War Devil says no wars since the World War.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. She didn't say the First World War. She didn't say World War II. She just said the World War, which implied that Denji prevented the Holocaust.
That is not true. Makima explicitly mentions Nazis as a concept that Chainsaw Man ate.
She says that everybody forgot.
But then if he prevented the Holocaust and prevented...
Yeah.
Also, the War Devil explicitly talks about nuclear weapons being created, which, it's okay, Jordan. You tried.
I tried.
Since I think we forgot to start this, so what were the reasons why you thought this chapter was a 10 out of 10 this week?
I love how Denji and Asa talk to each other.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. Asa's just like very nonplussed and just kind of laying out her issues with Chainsaw Man, and Denji is like so offended. She's like, I don't know, he seems kind of dirty, and he's like, he bathes? He definitely bathes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He does. He doesn't eat cats and dogs. The best part though is when she's like, he probably eats people too, and he's like, he doesn't eat people. I mean, one time, okay, there was only one time, okay?
That was a great detail.
Fujimoto is so good at comedic timing in comics, which is extremely difficult.
That's one of his gifts. Along with Fujimoto is such a master of making those like back and forth pictures where it's, one column is one person, one column is the other person.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just so hilarious. Like all the conversations with the War Devil versus her.
I love how, like the first couple chapters, we saw Aza acting like this very, like, distraught, upset teenager who's very, like, mad at how nobody likes her. And now we see the War Devil essentially doing that as well.
I can't believe that was the War Devil getting mad at her pillow. That feel when no adorable War Devil to protect.
It creates an interesting situation, I realize, though, where Aza is effectively a tsundere, because one half of her kind of likes Chainsaw Man, and the other half hates Chainsaw Man, you know?
I can be your ankle or your War Devil.
I can be your war ankle or War Devil.
I also, by the way, I had to explain to Rachel, my girlfriend, why I laugh so hard at the next panel after he asks if he knows a desperate girl and it's him with Asa. And I was like, I don't really know how to explain this, and I did a terrible job. Rachel actually loves Puchita, but I was like, I don't really know how to explain the multitude of things that need to be explained for why that was such a funny scene.
Yeah, it was literally just the next panel in with Aza, and it was very funny. I also love how, when Denji is not being manipulated by Makima, he just goes back to doing weird, menial, physical things for way too little money, which is what he did in, like, the first chapter of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that this is just, like, a part of his character.
I completely agree. I mean, the character writing is always, but I mean, it's hard to say what the best part of Chainsaw Man is because everything's the best part. Like, and sometimes it's the paneling, sometimes it's the character writing, sometimes it's the humor, sometimes it's just the faces he draws. Like, look about how he literally Denji goes from looking super happy to depressed literally by just slightly changing his mouth's position on his face.
It's subtle, but it just says so much, and it's hilarious. Like,
right?
Oh my God. You just see his face drop when Aza just calls him a loser. And he's just it's like, what? Yeah. Something I noticed before, when Denji says, I'm just gonna say it, you see, and before Aza calls him a loser, Yoshida, like, puts his finger to his forehead in the universal anime pre-planning thing, whatever. All according to Keikaku thing.
All according to Cake.
Hey!
Ooh, that's good,
okay.
That's good.
Yeah. You just knew. He knew. Now, nobody's gonna fucking believe you, Denji. That's like, if you just fucking tell them that you're Chainsaw Man. And I love that, like, yeah, you know what? A 17-year-old would absolutely do the stupid thing of lying about being, like, a superhero in order to try and get a girl. And that girl would also obviously not believe him.
I also wish that we had cover art for these. My envisioning is Denji being like Dennis from the Magnum condom joke from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's like, woof, dropped my student ID
for my Magnum identity.
There we go. That was it. That was half the joke I was struggling with. It's also, we actually have got 2 chapters now without literally seeing Chainsaw Man since he's been back. There's only 1 chapter where Chainsaw Man actually has appeared in part 2.
Well, I think I mentioned this to you, I forget where, but like going through the first and second volumes of Chainsaw Man, he really does very rarely show up. Yeah, he's not really there for most of those volumes. It's mostly Denji just as Denji, which really surprised me. It just goes to show that like Fujimoto's like a master of subtlety and pacing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Every time Chainsaw Man shows up, you're like, oh fuck, it's Chainsaw Man!
Yeah, whenever Chainsaw Man's not on screen, we always ask, where's Chainsaw Man?
Yeah, and then when he does show up, you're like, oh, there he is. There he is. Yeah. And then Makima died on the way to her home planet.
Fuck Makima. So Murphy Napier was like, I'm going to start reading Chainsaw Man. I was like, you're going to say fuck Makima, and what it means is going to change over what the fuck means is going to change over time.
Yeah.
No, she's great.
No, Murphy's fantastic. You mean Makima's great? Because I don't know, David. I don't know what I'd say.
No, Makima sucks.
I love Makima. Just as a kid.
Fuck Makima. All my homies want to fuck Makima. I mean, all my homies say fuck Makima.
Makima is such a fucking excellent character. Oh, she's so cool. I mean, obviously she's evil. Oh no, that's, you know what? You're listening to part 2. Something on part 2 of Chainsaw Man.
If you are listening to this podcast, you are 100% should not be worried about Chainsaw Man spoilers.
Yeah, I realized that like right as I said it.
I am sure there are people who do not read Chainsaw Man just because they love hearing us, but that is the honest truth. This is 100% a spoil podcast.
We can't talk about current Chainsaw Man chapters without spoiling the fuck out of Chainsaw Man. I'm sorry. They referenced the ending of part 1 here where Denji's like, he doesn't eat people except the one time.
Well, Makima wasn't even a person anyway.
Damn.
Now that's a spoiler.
What does it say about Denji? Maybe he still does love her, you know, and he can't help but see her as a person.
She's inside of him.
She is literally inside of him. Anyway.
Anyway. All right, let's, I think it's time. Jordan.
I am sorry to say, I'm looking at my watch, and it seems like the Chainsaw Minute has passed.
Oh, no.
Thank you, everybody. Should we go into sign off?
Jordan, I want to say thank you so much for helping with editing.
Thank you so much for helping editing as well. And thank you for scheduling, even though it very stresses you out.
It does, but it's okay. I also want to say you can find us on Twitter at Shonen Flopcast and our website, shonenflop.com. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or wherever else you get your podcasts. And props to Shannon for the awesome cover art. You can find her online at illuminyatea. And as a reminder, you can join us every other Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find a link to our Discord on our show notes or on our site. And stay tuned next Monday as we and Megan from the Volume 1 podcast talk about Duran Duran.
Hungry like the Chainsaw Minute. Okay, yeah, time's over. Bye.
Bye.